Hey there, and welcome to today's acrylic landscape lesson. Here we are going to attempt to paint this beautiful fall composition in only 15 minutes. I do have my timer ready to go on the phone, and as per usual, if you'd like help with the drawing process, I will have the traceable as well as the real-time drawing video where you can watch me sketch it out up over on Patreon. Though with that, we are going to begin. We're going to have some fun. I'm going to ask you to wish me some luck, and we are going to jump into this right now. Okay, so we're going to begin with a nice amount of titanium white. A little bit of our cerulean blue will work beautiful bright light into the background of our sky. That same bright hue at the bottom of our reflection, and then we'll interject a little bit more cerulean blue into the mix, so when we move up in the sky, we work towards something that's a nice contrast, a nice gradient. We can also take that same blue and work it down into the bottom of our reflection. We can even make it a little bit darker because reflections are typically a little bit darker than that which they are reflecting. So nice and easy start. Get some good pigment on the canvas. Now I'll switch to another large flat-headed brush because it's great for mixing. And we'll create some orange trees with some cad yellow, yellow ochre, and finally titanium white. These will be really nice fall hue, and we'll apply them with our old flat-headed brush. Now you know what, I'm looking at the painting. Before we move on, I want to make the top of the sky just a little bit more blue. Yeah, good contrast. Let's do that to the bottom. You can see the pigment's still wet, so we're able to do this pretty easily. I do like that better. And now we can grab that orange, we can head up to the top, and we can start applying that foliage via myriad of taps. This is such an easy, fun way to get pigment on the canvas. Very low effort, but if you rotate your brush in between each application, you get a whole new marking, and it keeps your painting evolving in very natural ways. This is just an old flat-headed brush I bought at the dollar store about a decade ago, and I always peel back those bristles to get something nice and unique. And I think it's pretty good. That said, we are working around our reflection of the bridge there. Then we're going to take that same brush and we'll just work some extra pigment in and around the trees we just applied. Nice and easy. Then we'll make our next mix a little bit darker with some burnt sienna, a little bit of Oxide Black, a little bit of Cad Red, and you know what, I'll apply it with this brush. Then we'll do all of the detail work and the textures with the other. We'll just bounce back and forth. I think this will make it a little bit easier. There we go. And let's do a little bit under the bridge as well, like that. Now, back to this brush, back to the taps. And the idea is the bottom of the trees are always going to be a bit darker because they are going to have more shadows. The trees will cast shadows upon themselves, and the top of the leaves, the top of the foliage will remain lighter because that's where the light actually ends up hitting from the sun, right? So we'll do that. Then we'll switch on over to more of a green mix. So grab some Sap Green, work that in, grab some Oxide Black, create some nice shadows, but still keep it earthy by mixing with the oranges and whatnot from the past. As you can see, we're going to tap that into the bottom. And the idea here is that we have a bunch of bushes and green trees as well. We have some good variety. Yeah, I like that. We can work it up towards the top sporadically, create some diversity within our trees. I like that, I like that. I like all of this so far. Off to a good start. Now, I think before we continue, we're going to go back to this brush. We'll grab some of our ultramarine, some of our titanium white, and we'll cut into where our reflection is going to be, where our water will separate from the land. We'll go back and forth with some little zigzags, and we'll just create some horizontal lines to show that separation and movement in the water. You can see it doesn't have to be complicated. Just left and right, move around that wet paint. We keep some texture in there, but we also create a lot of very easy movement. Okay, we can also throw a little bit over here. And you know what? I think I might also just grab some of the extra orange on our other flat-headed brush and just tap that in here as well. I'm also going to make the camera a little bit darker. There we go. And now I think what we do is we start working on the actual bridge. So, burnt sienna, quite a bit of our oxide black, orange, a little bit of titanium white. Work that up here. Just cut across the top. This brush is so nice for this because it can hold a lot of paint. There we go. You can press more pressure into the brush to get a larger stroke. I never do it on the edges because it makes it difficult to render sharp details. But when we get into the middle of the bridge, the body, it just makes it way easier. Then we'll make a much darker mix, more oxide black. We'll work the underside of the bridge, like so. Nice and easy. Perspective won't let us see too much of this, but we will see a little bit. And then we'll also work on the reflection of it down below. Like that. We'll switch on over to the brighter version. Work that back here. Connect those. And because this is a reflection, we're going to work it into the rest of the water with some horizontal markings. Try to keep it nice and sharp, but also just show that movement as it is important. Okay, now from here, we're going to work on the tree branches and some of the tree trunks by grabbing our liner brush and just doing some little markings up here, weaving in and out of different clusters of foliage. You want them to be pretty small because they are relatively far away, but we're just going to throw a bunch of these throughout. We'll grab some darker pigment to do so at the bottom as well. I'll also note that I am painting this at sunset right now, so if the colors on the camera get a little different in between cloud movements and whatnot, the painting itself is staying the same. It's just the light outside, which is kind of nice because it lets me see what the painting is going to look like on cloudy days, on sunny days, at sunset. Just going to give me a lot of information. So far, so good. I think now we start working on some green foliage on the left and right hand side. We'll grab an abundance of our Sap Green, a little bit of our Oxide Black, hint of our titanium white, and we'll just block in a good amount of green over here, covering a lot of that open foliage. Nice and easy. We'll also do that over on the other side, kind of frame the painting with some greens. Though we will go back in with an abundance of detail relatively soon. Just have to trust the process here. So we'll do that, we'll do this. We'll change the application of our greens with a larger brush. Just do a bunch of taps. Make it cohesive with the background. We'll do so over here with a different brush. That'll be the fan brush. We'll make it nice and damp. Have the bristles kind of fork a little bit, and then we'll create larger leaves with this. This is great for foliage in the foreground, while we probably want to use the other brush for the background, the midground. So different brushes, different techniques. This one's great for here. And so far so good. With that, we'll put that down. We'll probably make a darker mix to throw in the back here. That way it's nice and vignetted. We'll do more taps with this. I think we'll do the same over here. We want the edges to be a little bit darker, that way the eye moves into the brighter spots. It's typically why vignettes are used in artwork and photography. They just help draw the eye into where you want it. So, nice and easy. With that, I think what we do next is we create some additional foliage towards the top, and to do that we also need branches. So more Oxide Black, burnt sienna, a little bit of titanium white. There we go. We'll just cut some branches out of here, have them crisscross to a point. You can use the liner brush if you want, but I feel like we're doing pretty well with this. You want them to be larger towards the bottom. There we are. Looking pretty good. Next, I think we head back to our old flat-headed brush and make some nice highlighted yellows with titanium white, cad orange, cad yellow. We'll make some highlights for these trees. And I couldn't do this earlier because I needed them to dry, but now that they have, we can go in and introduce some real good golds. Really adds a lot of volume, adds a lot of light. We can work that on the inner portions to a point because different trees will protrude and catch light in unique ways. There we go. I like that. Now I think, let's grab this brush. Let's switch on over to a little bit more of our cad orange yet again, a little bit darker. A little bit of our burnt sienna. Titanium white, oxide black, just to desaturate it a hint. Creating the base for a nice orange leaf. We'll grab that flat-headed brush. And we'll just create some foliage for the top area here. Make it opaque where it needs to be, kind of framing the rest of the painting. Draping in, feeling nice and intentional. There we are. Now we can also grab a liner brush and do some intentional taps with that too, because these pieces of foliage are closer to us and we will see individual little areas and markings. There we go. Nice. Now we're going to let that dry, and while we do, I think we create some bricks very quickly with some yellow ochre, burnt sienna, a little bit of titanium white, a little bit of oxide black. We'll switch on over to the fan brush, and we can do this with either the fan brush or the liner brush. But essentially, we're going to create lots of little bricks in the backing here. Okay, that's good to get us started. Now we'll switch to the liner, where we'll double down on the ones that really matter. So with the combination of both brushes, we get to something that's really nice. In a very short period of time, mind you. It's nice because they don't look perfect, and that makes it look a little more human, a little more natural. I really like when my bridges have personality. They feel a bit more rustic. We were talking about this in the traceable drawing video, but my grandfather was actually an engineer who worked on bridges. So it's got a close spot in the heart, you know? There we go. So far so good. Now let's go with a slightly brighter orange. Add a little bit of titanium white to what we were using up here. Do some extra highlights. Now we have a range of values, and that's important. I think we also grab some Cad Red very quickly, mix that in with some of our browns from the bridge, switch back to this brush, and at that point we just tap on some red foliage coming in from one side. And I know that's 15 minutes, but we did have to change the colors on the camera. So I think that gives us an extra 10 seconds. Surely that's fair. Surely we can just add a couple more of these little taps because they're beautiful and they're wonderful. And I think they add a lot to the painting. That said, that right there is our 15-minute painting. I hope you enjoyed because I really like it. Also, for those of you who want to do a more detailed dive, I did do an extra hour of painting and I put that up over on Patreon. Here you can see it with some extra details, highlights, and just fun additions. So I know some of you like it when there are the quick paintings. I know some of you like it when there are the longer paintings. Now there's an opportunity for both. And I actually really like this as I just get to paint a little bit more. And you know me, I love to paint. So with that, thank you for being here. Thank you for watching along. If you haven't already, do check out the Patreon because you can get the real-time sketching lesson where you can watch me draw it all out. You can get the color analysis breakdown where I open up the reference photo. We break it down in Photoshop, talk about which colors we'll be using for our palette based off of that information. And you can also get bonus lessons like this one where we do just continue to work on these 15-minute lessons, make them a bit longer. Sometimes I actually start these from scratch and then we do an hour or two of a brand new version of the painting. But regardless, it's a lot of fun. Love to see you up there. And again, thank you for being here. You have a wonderful week. I will see you next week with a brand new painting, so don't forget to subscribe. And above all, as always, stay creative.